Hey guys, today's video is a short chit chat. I just came back from a dinner social event, I would say. It's called Dinner for 12 Strangers. It's initiated by our university's alumni association. And based on what they said, pre-COVID, the hosts, who are the alumni, would usually host the dinner parties at their home. So they cook for the 12 strangers. And I also saw a post, an Instagram post of our chancellor hosting the dinner for 12 strangers at his house, which is pretty sweet. But today, our host just did the dinner party at a restaurant. Well, they call this dinner the dinner for 12 strangers, but I wouldn't say people are completely strangers. Although people come from different majors, different areas, probably have different cultural backgrounds, we still share some similarities because we go to the same university. We have some common knowledge of the university we're studying in, so that also lays a foundation for us to start our conversation and to initiate some topics. So this dinner party just reminded me of talking to foreigners or starting conversations with foreign strangers. Well, I wouldn't say it's necessary to attend these type of social events, or you have to force yourself to enter these kind of conversations with foreigners, because it really depends on your personality and your willingness. But if you would like to take the challenge to meet more people or to feel more comfortable at the social gatherings with foreigners, I can offer you a couple of tips. And the first one is, don't feel bad about yourself if you feel yourself isolated on some topics during the conversation. I would say it's pretty common for you to have minimal to no knowledge about some topics that they are interested in. So from my experience, when people talk about like sports, entertainment, TV dramas, celebrities, and places, for example, places in the US, I just have no idea about what they're talking about. I just don't have that background knowledge. So the only thing I could do when they share their perspectives onto these type of things is to listen and smile. And there isn't any occasion for me to actively speak up. Nevertheless, I think it's completely okay. It's just so understandable that I have different cultural background and I don't share the same knowledge with them. But yeah, just to listen to what people are saying. There's actually one thing that I think everybody could do is to ask questions. Well, asking questions is a good approach because although you are not able to actively contribute anything to the conversation, you're still trying to include yourself into this conversation, right? And the second tip is actually you can bring up something that other people might not be very familiar about. So, for example, I'm an international student. American people probably do not know the crisis for international students. They don't know we have to worry about visa. What are we going to do? Where are we going after graduation? And they probably are curious about how we coped with the time difference when we're taking online classes during the COVID. So yeah, this is the chance for you to share your own unique cultural background and experience. And it's also a good opportunity to get yourself involved in this conversation. And another suggestion would be, if you really want to get involved into conversations with foreigners or people with different cultural backgrounds, I would say start with smaller groups or with one-on-one conversations. Well, it's way harder to find chances to speak up in a big group. Usually in larger groups, people get along and you feel like the conversations just build upon each other. And it's pretty difficult to find occasions to interrupt other people. However, in smaller groups, your chances to speak up or to say something are guaranteed, I would say. Because people are basically switching turns to say something, you don't even have to make an effort to involve yourself into this conversation. You just go with the flow of the conversation because you are either answering the question or asking the question. Yeah, I think it's good for you to get used to talking to foreigners and even for practicing your English speaking skills. Okay, with all this being said, I got a gift from our hosts. I would just do a quick unboxing. There's a little card It says, thank you for joining us for dinner for 12 strangers, Mark and Lisa. Actually, Mark and Lisa were our hosts, are a couple. They met during the university, got married eventually, which is a sweet love story. Okay, I'll just quickly unbox it. Well, it's kind of tight. Gold and blue colors are the colors for our university. Wow! Yeah, just some snacks. And chocolate. Oh, this is Godiva. And Lindt. Yeah, these ones are pretty good. I've had these ones before. I remember the red ones are the dark chocolate and the blue ones are the milk chocolate. Well, I'm not sure. I prefer dark chocolate though. Yeah, and gummy bears and popcorn. Popcorn, this is a cookie. Well, those are like the most common American snacks, you know? I think American snacks are featured by sugar, like a lot of sugar, like super sweet. My friend said American snacks are either super sweet or super salty. I think which is true. Anyways, yeah, this is it. Dinner for 12 strangers, celebrating over 50 years of food, fun, and friendship. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And there's one last thing I would like to share. I think COVID has already become part of American people's life because there were, I think, 3 students during the dinner said they would even be surprised if somebody has not got COVID yet, because it seems like everyone has got COVID at some point, and yeah, this is not good. We have to protect ourselves. Alright, this is the end of this video. If you like it, please 一键3连 and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.
今天的教育不可能教育出这种人来，今天的教育教育的是凡人，过日子的人。所以今天的大学教育是令人失望的，尤其美国式大学教育，最大的缺陷是零碎，它是吃自助餐一样的。Hey guys, welcome back. Today let's talk about a topic that has always been interesting to me, education, especially higher education. Yeah, because I'm pursuing higher education in the US and the American educational system has a very high prestige, as we all know. People assume the ambition or the intention of American educational system is to nurture people who are passionate about acquiring knowledge, who are into investigation and academic research. So the quotation I introduced in the beginning of this video was from Xu Zhuoyun. He describes the education of American universities as all-you-can-eat meals. It's like you take a sip of everything, but you can't digest everything equally well. Okay, so here's the case. In American universities, there is an area of study that you have to fulfill before graduation, which is the general education. Usually they include courses from natural science, physical science, social science, humanities, history, and probably foreign languages. You're required to take those so-called diversity classes because they want to educate students to become well-rounded. They want them to be able to implement interdisciplinary knowledge. Usually those classes are just intro levels, right? Really hard to dig deeper in the short amount of time. But yeah, I think this gives evidence to his argument about the superficiality part of the American educational system. And other than GE courses, we're required to take major courses, which are the requirement of getting a degree and graduating from universities. Well, the overall question that I want to ask is, what do we learn from college? How much of the knowledge that you learned in class would remain after graduation? Let's say after 2 to 5 years. Well, it's pretty hard to say. So for example, if a person is a math major, so the major knowledge he obtains would probably be formulas, theories, the derivation processes, like how to do the calculations, how to derive the next step based on the previous step. However, if after he graduates, he enters a different industry, which doesn't require the knowledge of mathematical formulas or mathematical theories, he would probably just quickly forget what he learned in his major classes, right? And there is also possibility that you actually do not like your majors. Probably your parents ask you to choose the major. You only study for exams or getting a good grade instead of for knowledge. And the only thing you get from taking the classes is pain, like endless pain. So those are the negative sides. But if we stay positive about those courses, I would say there are two most important capabilities you can acquire by attending university. First is problem-solving ability, and second is practice of your mentality. So problem solving. Let's say you have a hard time digesting the course materials. You can't solve the homework problems. You don't know how to do the assignments. You ask your peers for help. You search online. You just look at the text and read it over and over again and try to get a better comprehension. Like, no matter what the result is, at least you're actively trying to figure out solutions. And second is mentality. Well, you have to deal with anxiety, depression. You have to fight against procrastination. You have to practice your resilience after screwing things up. Those are the soft skills that are equally important as the hardcore knowledge you can obtain from taking classes. I would say no matter what career paths you take in the future, all the soft skills are what left after taking those challenges, after going through those difficulties. And there is another quote from Xu Zhuoyun that I want to share with you guys. Well, I also recommend this documentary, 13幺. There's also a text version. Actually, I read the text version. It is an educational documentary. It would inspire you to think about some issues, some phenomenon around you. And because the people who got interviewed in the documentary are traditionally defined as successful in their fields, their opinions are definitely insightful. Sometimes when they discuss about a certain topic, they would draw references to the books they have read or the movies they have watched. So it could also function as a guide for you to look for books. It's a conversation between Xu Zhiyuan and Xu Zhuoyun. 许知远问：这么长段文化的尺度下，人显得那么小，人怎么样获得自身的意义和价值？许倬云回答：我的理解是这样子的，太平洋上的孤岛从来没有人去过，那里一样有日落日出，一样有花开花落，一样有春夏秋冬。那个世界我们没见过，我们脑子里面就没有它。今天能照相了，我们才晓得黑洞里是什么，我们的宇宙知识多了一大块。宇宙万物是在我们脑子里认知出来的，所有我们知道的，或者用肉眼看见，或者用机械的眼看见，或者用推理的眼看见。哲学能推理到最远最远。所以人接受教育，不是说你受的教育换得吃饭的工具，也不是说受了教育知道人跟人怎么相处，而是要有一种教育，使人养成一个远见，能超越你未见。我们要想办法设想我没见到的世界还有可能是什么样，去拓展可能性，可能性是无穷的。Alright, this is the end of this video. If you like it, please 一键三连 and I will see you in the next one. Hey guys, today's video is about speaking. We haven't talked about speaking for a while. So I would break it down into two sections. The first section is for input and the next section would be the output. As we all know, like speaking is leaning towards the output side. You want to make sure you're getting enough input so you're not depleting your knowledge base or you're not depleting your vocabularies or expressions. Talking about the input, the most primary source, the strongly recommended source would be videos, as I've mentioned it like tons of times in my previous videos. Because in the videos you're gonna see the speakers' facial expressions, their emotions, their body movements, their mouths. There are many other sources you can take advantage of besides the pure sound when you decode information. So yeah, that's the top one. So if watching videos is not convenient for you in certain scenario, you probably would look for podcasts or some radio station, but I'm not very familiar with the audio resources. The only app I've used was Himalaya. So yeah, you can take a look on that if you would like. And third, if you feel like you don't have a solid foundation in
on English learning, you probably would go back to grammatical rules. Well, I have a full video talking about the apps, the books you can use for English learning at different phases. So if you're interested, you can check that out. Okay, so here comes our output section. The primary, most effective approach is talking to yourself. I can't stress the importance of that enough. And that's what I basically do to improve my own speaking. But if you say, I just find it hard to start with, or I feel like I have minimal knowledge to start talking to myself, well, in that case, I would recommend start with something simple or start with imitation. Like you can read after videos, you can try to follow the speaker. English songs also work. You can practice your familiarity of English in general or practice your pronunciation. And just to take a small step further into giving your own output, I would recommend summarizing your day. So just talk about what you've done for today, how do you feel, what's your plan for tomorrow. Yeah, just start with something really simple. You don't have to use very complicated expressions. You don't need to use advanced vocabularies. Just use whatever you have. Okay, so with all those being said, if you feel like you get stuck on certain approach, then just try other ones.